As part of the suite of Hedgeye products, I'm going to talk about the macro show. So it's a daily show 30 minutes prior to the US market open. It builds on top of, it's not a replacement for, it builds on top of the other daily Hedgeye products. But it allows, because it's a video format, it allows a deeper dive and more intricate, a better way of passing on information. A more immediate way to pass on information. It's made up of, it's always the top three things. The top three things is normally the first kind of 5 minutes of the show where Keith talks about either something that's happened the day before or the things to look out for on that day. Okay, important call outs on what you should be looking at and how you should be making decisions based on those things. They can be on anything, specific products, specific ETFs, big macro things like rates and how it affects other different assets. So he always starts with that. Then the next 5 to 15 minutes is the deep dive, then going through all the different macro parts. So, FX, rates, major commodities, major indexes, going through all the different things and, specific prices, how to be thinking about different things, what's going on, whether that's directly about assets or prices, or behaviorally, what's coming out, like what's outside of Hedgeye, what's going on, what things can we pick up from, whether it's Bloomberg or Twitter, what's the market feeling, and whether we should be, fading those feelings. Generally comes out in this. And then another important part is the last 10 minutes are viewer questions. So these questions are sent in by the viewers, and then they are upvoted or downvoted depending on how important everyone thinks that question is or is not. This in itself, just as I've just explained about how to maybe fade emotions of the general market, it also gives you a bit of an insight into how the subscribers are feeling about positions. If there's a lot of questions about whether something's going against us, is this trade wrong or right, or predominantly wrong? Is this trade wrong? What price will we get out? Tends to be a time where maybe that's something to be faded, and you can add to that position because it could start to move in the right direction or the direction that we want it to go. So that in itself, you can read a little bit of behavioral economics into what questions are being asked and in what way are they being asked. Is something wrong? What will make you change your view on X, Y, and Z? There's a certain amount of information that you can get from that. Another important thing with the macro show is there's a very comprehensive chart deck and slide deck provided each day, going through different assets. These are generally shared on Twitter and stuff like that, so they're nothing new, but there is some deep insights that are, some charts and things that are coming from other products that are a bit higher in the price range of the Hedgeye products. Maybe from some of these will be from Macro Pro. Occasionally, it's from the different sectors, the Sector Pro products. You have here the overview of the current quads. Where we are, where we're likely to be. Overview of the different quad regime, performance data, volume, different sectors. This is updated every day. rates, correlations, so these are things, even if it's something you do yourself, it helps you to figure out, maybe to make some things yourself. How do I make the product? How do I make a correlation? Or what time frames are people using? Obviously these guys are using 15, 30, 90 day, how to think about things. This is updated every, Sunday night, but Monday, it doesn't change, but it does, show overall positioning for the market. This is a relatively new, I say new, it certainly came in perhaps the middle of 2020. For a lot of people, if you don't have Bloomberg, I don't, a lot of these things you can't get on something like TradingView or something like that. It's, these things only come from Bloomberg or other big paid services. So these are really helpful. And this is like a whole video in itself. It's super important part of the process and referred to constantly when it comes to should we be buying this or should we be buying that. Keith always refers back to it and uses predominantly this column to make decisions. But this whole chart deck as a whole is really, really, really useful. And is often not overlooked, but it's a part that maybe you don't see if you're a subscriber. If you're a trialer, you might not notice that it's even there. For me, it's the macro show is one of the most, because it's immediate. It's video, immediate, live. It's a great way to learn the process as a whole. I said often on a lot of my videos about how all the products should be used together. And the macro show is the thing that really pulls all these different things together. And it's the best way to really learn the process as a whole. Instead of just looking at a price, ETF, blah, 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 is at the low end of the range, I'm just going to buy it. The macro show is the way that it's all pulled together and you learn how to use the whole Hedgeye process as a whole. So for me, it's super useful. It's even if over time you may feel that it's, you can kind of go on your own, that's fine, but it's super, super useful right at the beginning. And I mean, if I reduce any other, I certainly won't, I'll never get rid of the macro show. It's super, super important for me. So yeah, it's a fantastic product.